Welcome back. Here with us on Urban Debate on Mirror Now. The Karnataka government is now facing allegations of corruption from various whistleblowers who are coming forward and talking about the alleged cut money culture or commission raj in the state of Karnataka. Today, Karnataka Chief Minister Basavaraj Bommai has reiterated that no work should be undertaken by contractors without a written approval. The Chief Minister emphasized that no work will take place following oral orders. The government has decided to finally set up pre-tender scrutiny committee. This after massive allegations of corruption were levelled against the government by the Contractors Association and the seers of various mutts. To talk more about this particular issue and what's happening in Karnataka, I am joined by a very special guest this evening, former Lokayukta Justice Santosh Hegde. Thank you very much for joining us here on Urban Debate on Mirror Now this evening. After facing allegations of graft, finally the Karnataka government has decided to set up a committee to scrutinize tenders. Do you see this as an acknowledgement that in Karnataka, oral orders for work were indeed being given? Does it lend credence to the charges by Santosh Patil?
The fact is that from many sources, allegations are being made against the present administration in regard to demanding huge percentage of bribe even before granting the contract. It has not come from only one source. A long time back, the president of the Construction People's Federation has written to the Honorable Prime Minister that in Karnataka they have to pay 40% on the tender amount the moment the tender is granted. But then I think no action was taken. Thereafter, a particular person said that money was demanded from him and which he couldn't pay because then the payment was not made. Therefore, he is supposed to have committed suicide, making an allegation against a minister. Consequent to which the minister is also resigned. Then there's a recent allegation by a Swamiji of a mutt saying that even from amongst the money that is to be given to the mutts and religious institutions, they're demanding huge percentage of nearly 30% amount. In that background, I think the government has done a good thing by appointing a commission of inquiry, because people should know what exactly is happening. Because as a resident of Bangalore, I have seen the quality of work that is being done in Bangalore in the guise of smart city programs, which is, according to me, is not at all a proper job that is being done at all. Recently, in the sense about a year or two back, in one of the biggest business center streets called Commercial Street, lakhs and crores of rupees was spent to relay the road. But within a month or so of relaying and inaugurating the same by top politicians, the road got washed away in the first rain. That shows the quality of work that is being done. In that background, if you look at the problem that the city of Bangalore and the state of Karnataka is suffering, there seems to be some truth in the allegation which must be proved or disproved by a proper inquiry. In that background, I think it is an indication of the fact that the government has realized that the serious allegations are there against its officers and others, other people involved in granting contract. I think it's a good thing that the government has done. It may indicate that the government has also perceived the seriousness of the allegation.
First from a contractor, then from seers in Karnataka, the government is facing some serious graft allegations. Do you think Lokayukta has failed in fighting corruption?
Lokayukta has no power now to fight corruption in Karnataka. When I was the Lokayukta, and my predecessors before me were the Lokayukta of Karnataka, there were two distinct jurisdictions of the Karnataka Lokayukta. One was grievance redressal, that is, people who suffer from maladministration could approach the Karnataka Lokayukta for relief, and the Lokayukta institution can investigate and give a report which the government is bound to accept and implement it and all. The second jurisdiction was fighting corruption, of course through police, because under the Prevention of Corruption Act, any investigation of a prevention of corruption can be investigated only by a police officer. Lokayukta is not a police officer. Therefore, knowing very well that problem, during our time, government had given a police establishment called Karnataka Lokayukta Police, which independently of the parent police department investigated the allegations of corruption under the administrative jurisdiction of the Lokayukta. But then, very unfortunately, according to me, in 2016, then the government withdrew that power from the Lokayukta and handed it back to the local police, amongst them a body called ACB, Anti-Corruption Bureau. Therefore, today Lokayukta doesn't have, according to me, any jurisdiction to investigate, though there is difference of opinion in this matter, but people don't go to Lokayukta anymore. They have to go to ACB, they go to ACB. Therefore, you can't blame the Lokayukta of negligence or inefficiency in dealing with the present-day corruption problem in the state of Karnataka.
Now, Justice Hegde, the committee that will be formed will scrutinize orders that will be given in the future. Do you think Karnataka government will be able to weed out corruption when its own ministers and officers are facing some serious commission charges?
Commissions have come, commissions have gone. I don't think corruption is not even reduced, leave alone abolishing corruption. With my experience of having worked in Karnataka Lokayukta at a time when Karnataka Lokayukta had the jurisdiction to fight corruption, I have come to the conclusion corruption cannot be eradicated. Corruption, according to me, is something which the Creator himself has created. In that background, even strict laws also cannot contain corruption at all, because the fault doesn't lie with individuals today. According to me, fault lies with the society in which we are. Today we live in a society which respects money and power only. When I was young, if somebody in my neighborhood or in my village was sent to jail for whatever is criminal, for some criminal activity, my parents would tell me not to go near that house because there was a social boycott of a person who committed a crime. Things have changed so much that today people do not find anything wrong in a person going to jail. I have seen, and most probably you too would have seen, people who go to jail, take a bail and come out, are received in their local areas with garlands, not of flowers, or of apple. Thousands of people go to receive them, as if they have not done anything wrong. If you ask them, why are you felicitating a person who went to jail? He will answer you back by saying, did you not felicitate Mahatma Gandhi when he came out of jail? That is the thinking of the society today. According to Transparency International, in the year 1916 at least, China, the corruption rate in China was more than India, and the law in China was death sentence for people who are proved to be corrupt. In India, it's only 7 years. Nobody is afraid of corruption in India. The judicial system has also become so slow. Consequently, rate of corruption, conviction is also very small. Therefore, people are not afraid of law. According to me, you have to change the law to inculcate more values in the society. Mere law by itself will not help. We got to inculcate the values in the people and build a society which boycotts corrupt people. That is a bigger sentence than going to jail. Because that sentence is not only for the person who committed the crime, but also to his family. That makes a lot of difference. You see the growth of corruption in this country. In the decade of 50s, there was a corruption scam called Jeep scam, in purchasing Jeep vehicles for Indian soldiers from Great Britain. In that scam, country lost 52 lakhs. Let me jump because there is no time to explain all the scams in this country. In the decade of 80s, there was a scam called Bofors, purchasing Bofors guns for Indian soldiers. In that scam, country lost 64 crores of rupees. Come to 2000, 2G scam, country lost 1,70,000 crores. Colgate, country lost 1,80,000 crores. This is the growth of corruption in our country. And who are the people who are involved in this corruption? People who are in power. It's not an ordinary man. Corruption is not contained to the small offices. Today, corruption is floating amongst the top elected representatives. amongst the top officers. They are hand in glove with each other because one cannot be corrupt without the other. How do you handle these people? We have to think in terms of one commission of inquiry will not eradicate corruption. It may be able to find out a person alleged to be corrupt is guilty or not. But then see the rate of conviction of people under the Prevention of Corruption Act. If my information is correct, it's hardly about 29 to 30%. Take any major scam in India where very high political personalities or bureaucrats are involved. Has anybody been convicted? No. Therefore, we got to think in terms of finding.
Justice Hegde, during Congress's time, we heard 10%, now 40% and 30% commission is what we are talking about. Karnataka, in a way, is becoming corruption capital, isn't it?
Yes, madam, there's no doubt about that. But then let's not confine the corruption issue only to Karnataka. It is as much or if not more in other states also. I'm talking in general. If you want to fight corruption, don't confine the fight only to the state of Karnataka. Of course, it should start, if you want, from the state of Karnataka. But then understand, it is the greed which is prevailing in this country, which is not opposed by the society. Today's society respects money and power only. How will you fight otherwise? We have laws, we have investigating agencies, but as you pointed out, the amount involved in corruption is growing. The previous government is accused of being rather demanding 10% of the contract money, and the present government is 40%. But then realize one thing: the people who are today complaining of excessive demand of corrupt money were paying the previous amount without any complaint. They do not realize under the Prevention of Corruption Act, it's not only receiving corrupt money, but also paying a bribe is an offense. So all these years they have been receiving their benefits and they were happy with the amount they paid. But today, of course, the amount has gone to 40%. The sufferers are not the contractors. Sufferers are the people of Karnataka. You see that quality of work that is being done. Look at the number of road accident deaths because of potholes. But how do we change it? Laws, any amount of strict law will not be helping us. We have seen the growth of corruption, not only in this country, in other countries also. So we have to do something.
One last question before we let you go. Do you think on the issue of commission, the corruption charge that the Karnataka government is facing today because of the allegations by Santosh Patil, a judicial probe is the need of the hour? Of course, what will happen in the future, this committee can look at that is now going to be set up to look at the tenders and the tendering process. But what about the issue that is there in front of us right now?
Madam, if I have heard your question rightly, a judicial probe can only identify the area of corruption in that given case only. It cannot investigate anything beyond that case. Therefore, that commission of inquiry may be able to find out whether a person accused of receiving bribe is guilty or not, or how much has he received, or what is disproportionate asset which has accumulated over the years in the position that he has held. But that will not give enough material to deal with other corruption cases. Corruption is not only monetary corruption. Please understand, the definition of corruption under the Prevention of Corruption Act is receiving illegal gratification, not only money, for showing official favor. Therefore, there is corruption of different nature. There is corruption not only in the field of governance, there is corruption in the field of healthcare, which has little governance involved in that. There is corruption in the field of education. corruption is all pervasive in every area. Therefore, we have to attack that sense of greed in the people, according to me. I'm not a sannyasi. I've worked in the field of corruption for 5 years very closely. I've seen the nature of corruption and sufferings of the people because of the greed of the people who are in administration. And please understand one thing. Why is it that we find today a lot of political corruption? It was not so much in the 50s and 60s, because the area of administration available to an elected representative was hardly 5%. For administration, there was a different pillar in the constitution called the executive. They are educated people. They are trained to administer, whereas there is no educational qualification to become an elected representative. I'm not saying they are not intelligent merely because they don't have a degree. But today what has happened? You allocate few thousand crores for a project in the state. Who distributes the money? The elected representative of the place. Does he know the technicalities of it? Is he capable of understanding the capacity of the person to whom he wanted the work to be given? No. Therefore, this type of interference by elected representatives in day-to-day administration is one of the main causes of corruption in the political field. Under the Constitution of India, the jurisdiction of the three pillars, that is the legislature, the executive and the judiciary, are separate. One is not to interfere on the jurisdiction of another one. But things have changed, at least in the field of legislature and executive. One has become merged like twins.
All right, Justice Hegde, thank you very much for joining us here on Urban Debate on Mirror Now this evening. With